The disabled tyrant's beloved pet fish. Transmigration. Chapter 1, Fish Soup. Liu floated motionlessly inside ice-cold water. He could hear the hazy sound of people talking above him, but he could not make much of it. Liu could only surmise that it was somewhat noisy. Flipping around, he opened his eyes only to suddenly discover that he seemed to be dripping wet all over. He jolted immediately and returned to consciousness. Then, his blood ran cold as he discovered that he was surrounded by water. That's not right. He remembered he stayed up all night yesterday reading a web novel and then fell asleep. When did he fall into the water? Moreover, he didn't know how to swim at all. Experiencing an extreme shock, Liu started flailing his arms and legs in desperation. As soon as he exerted force, he felt something swaying behind him. In the past, when he fell into the water, he would basically sink down to the bottom. Unexpectedly this time, not only did he not sink down, he actually stabilized himself in the water, as if the water had imperceptibly supported him. Also, there was this hard-to-ignore and strange feeling behind him. What was it? Liu subconsciously turned his head and abruptly found that the long slender legs that he was immensely proud of were gone. A shiny silver fish tail appeared where his legs should have been. This tail was currently vigorously waving up and down, left and right. He seemed to have found the reason. His body didn't sink, most likely because of this tail's movements. Liu. What was going on? How did his legs change into a fish tail? Could it be that he was dreaming? Dreaming about being turned into a mermaid? Although mermaids sounded somewhat feminine, they were the only being that Liu could think of that had fish tails. It wasn't the ugly yet cute dugongs from the animal world, but rather the fantastical half-human, half-fish mermaids that have long flowing hair, beautiful faces, and melodious voices. But everyone knew that mermaid didn't exist in reality. So, for him to change into a mermaid, this must be a dream. Since it was only a dream, he nonchalantly appraised his mermaid countenance some more. Looking left and right, Liu wanted to find a mirror or something that could reflect his appearance. At the same time, he continued to vigorously wave his fish tail. The feeling of carelessly swinging his fish tail was actually not bad. Unfortunately, this dream was not going well. There was no mirror in the water. Flipping around in the water, Liu unconsciously reached out to touch his forehead, wanting to push back his bangs. Unexpectedly, this resulted in something terrible. Liu suddenly discovered that no matter how much effort he used, he couldn't touch his forehead with his hand. What's wrong with his hand? Did it become shorter? Liu looked at his hands in shock. Only then did he realize that his well-defined hands were also gone. In their place was a section of fin that was constantly flapping in the water. Its shape and texture were similar to a real fish fin. If his legs had turned into a tail and his hands turned into fins, then he was. Liu quickly looked down towards his body. What he saw was that his entire body was enveloped by silvery black scales except for the area of his slender belly. No, this couldn't be right. His stomach, when did it become all flat and narrow, like the type of belly that a normal fish would have? Holy shit! Liu took a deep breath and accidentally let out some bubbles. Through the reflection on the surface of the bubbles, he clearly saw that his entire body had turned into a fish. This fish face, this fish belly, these fish scales, he was definitely a carp, not a mermaid. Liu was so scared he stiffened all over and forgot to flap his tail, making his entire fish body to sank downwards immediately. Ah! I'm drowning. I'm drowning. Seeing he was just about to hit a black rock at the bottom of the water, Liu desperately paddled using both his fins and tail. Good thing he managed to stop successfully before slamming completely into the rock, only his tail managed to hit the surface of the rock accidentally. Liu. It hurt so much. This fish tail was actually not a decoration. He only bumped it a little, but it was so painful that Liu spat out a long string of bubbles of various sizes. What's going on? This pain was comparable to cutting his leg with a knife. Why would the feeling of pain be so realistic in a dream? Liu's eyes slightly widened. No way. This wasn't a dream at all. He really changed into a fish, not to mention that he's only an extremely ordinary carp. Where the heck was this? How did he transform? Don't tell him that he changed into a carp just because his name was Liu. Most importantly, could he transform back? Liu's heart felt like a pack of wild horses just galloped through him. He didn't even have time to understand anything when he heard voices transmitting into his ears. A sharp, high-pitched voice said, "Xiao Linzi, the 1,000 carp soup for Imperial Consort's birthday feast is still missing a fresh fish." Another voice answered immediately in a flattering tone, "Gao Gong Gong, this fish just flipped over and revealed its white belly. This lowly one doesn't dare to give this to the Imperial Consort. I was just about to take it away. The birthday banquet is more important. How about this lowly one immediately look for another fish?" Liu, discovering that there were people beside him, he secretly felt delighted inside. But what Imperial Consort, what Gong Gong? Did he transmigrate into an Imperial Palace fish in the ancient times or something? What's the hell was that 1,000 carp soup anyways? Before he could figure it out though, a light suddenly penetrated through the water above where Liu was. The darkness over Liu's head split open and a rather terrifying looking hand reached in. Liu almost choked. Wasn't this hand a little too big? After thinking about it carefully, he of course concluded that since he already changed into a normal fish, in comparison to him, the size of a human hand had to be huge. Liu instinctively perceived danger and reflexively swam away in panic. However, this hand reached in without hesitation, opened wide and clamped down on Liu, who was acting like a headless fly. As a fish, Liu no longer had a neck. This hand directly clamped down on half of his body. It was much more painful than him accidentally bumping of his tail earlier. Liu cried out and used all his strength to start swinging his tail wildly. How could you squeeze a fish's chest and stomach this much? It hurts a lot. However, this person couldn't hear the fish's cries. He even chuckled and said with a laugh, "This fish is sure lively. How could it flip over, Xiao Linzi? Don't tell me you said it deliberately so you can hide it for your own use." In the middle of these talks, Liu's head was spinning around as he glanced at the place he came out of. It turned out to be a fish basket. He was already being held by this person and placed before his eyes. Liu's fish eyes unexpectedly saw two people dressed as imperial eunuchs of ancient times. The Gao Gong Gong who was holding him wasn't actually tall. Instead, he looked like a round white mantu. Beside him, Xiao Linzi looked somewhat like a hemp pole. Xiao Linzi hastily flattered Gao Gong Gong, saying with a smile, "Gao Gong Gong, with you personally standing guard, how could this lowly one dare to take advantage? I must have seen wrong earlier and made a mistake. Since this fish is still alive, I will use it to make fish soup now." Liu, who was being held by Gao Gong Gong, jolted upon hearing this. What? What? Fish soup? Just now, he didn't have the time to figure out what 1,000 carp soup was, but he understood what it meant if they were making fish soup. Right now, he was only a fish. So, they plan to use him to make soup. Ah. Liu, yo, squeezing is fine but cooking me is not allowed. Liu desperately struggled with his weak fish strength. Originally, Gao Gong Gong came into the kitchen only to chide Xiao Linzi a bit. After that, he planned to hand over the fish back to Xiao Linzi to deal with. For a while, Liu was quietly allowing Gao Gong Gong to hold and squeeze him, then he suddenly started struggling again. This fish was very slippery. Gao Gong Gong didn't hold on firmly, so Liu actually broke free from his grip and flew out. Liu, who just left a trail of water in midair behind him, was still flailing. What should I do? I'm going to die. I'm going to die. Will they still make fish soup out of me if I fell to my death? Who? He didn't even figure out how he transmigrated into a fish. He didn't want to die. What if there's no coming back from this death? Liu uncontrollably flew towards Xiao Lin's direction. Xiao Linzu reached out his hands to catch it, but unfortunately the fish's body was too slippery. Xiao Linzu didn't manage to grab the fish securely. Liu was just about to land smack on the floor. At this time, a long meowing sound came from outside. A round snow-white shadow scurried over. In a blink of an eye, before his tail even touched the ground, Liu was snatched into the mouth of this white shadow, which let out a meow sound. Liu didn't have time to celebrate the fact that he didn't fall to death when all of the scales on his body raised up. Oh shit. This shape, this sound, this was a fucking big white cat? Who would have thought that just after he had escaped for human hands, he already landed in a cat's mouth? Can a fish that's been snatched by a cat still live? Before, Liu was never scared of cats. After changing into a fish, he was instinctively terrified to death. The cat's tongue was full of barbs. If he got licked by it, would his fish meat just fall off? Liu was so scared he didn't dare to move randomly. As soon as he thought about how he was about to be eaten by a white cat until nothing was left but his fish bones, he felt like he'd rather opt to become fish stew. The big white cat that appeared out of nowhere ignored Gao Gong and Xiao Linzi. It grabbed the fish and ran outside. This unforeseen event happened too quickly that Xiao Linzi couldn't react in time. Gao Gong, the fish. The fish got stolen by the cat. That white cat was plump and strong. It looked a bit familiar. Gao Gong came back to his senses and gave Xiao Linzi a hard kick. What are you staring for? What are you staring for? Didn't you see whose cat that was? That was the Imperial Consort's cat. Xiao Linzi, hurry up and follow it. Master Cat is very fragile. What if he choked on fish bones? The Imperial Consort will definitely punish us severely. After all, a cat raised by the masters is half a master as well. Xiao Linzi agreed bitterly. Nowadays, they couldn't even afford to offend a master cat. Liu was held in the mouth of the big white cat, followed by Xiao Linzi running behind them. He also heard Gao Gong's words just now. Originally, he strangely hoped that Gao Gong and Xiao Linzi would get him out of the cat's mouth. After all, he was the main ingredient for the fish soup, so was at least needed. However, he could tell now that they didn't care about this fish at all. Not only did they not plan to save him, they were even more worried that the cat would choke on fish bones. How could there be people who changed at the drop of a hat like this? Liu was very angry, but he had no other choice. He can only continue to desperately use all of his weak fish strength and attempt to slide out of the cat's mouth. However, the white cat wasn't the fastidious yet incompetent Gao Gong. It also didn't have a habit of eating while running. So, when it held Liu, it did it seriously. Liu moved all over, but the white cat's mouth didn't loosen at all. On the contrary, it gripped him harder. This time, Liu didn't dare to move randomly and stayed in the cat's mouth obediently. Only the tip of his tail continued to tremble non-stop. It was too scary. Liu couldn't help but yell loudly, "Help! Someone please save me!" Anyone was fine. As long as he can escape this cat's mouth, he's willing to work hard and slave away for them in his next life. However, humans couldn't hear the words of a fish. The cat didn't respond either. Along the way, the big white cat traveled unhindered. Many people saw the cat along the way, but none of them tried to stop it. It was really as Gao Gong said. A cat raised by a master was also half a master. Just as Liu's cries remained unheard by the living and the dead, the white cat dug all four of its claws into the floor tile as if slamming on the brakes. It came to a sudden stop. Liu, who felt the cat's teeth tighten. Glaring intensely ahead with wide eyes, the cat let out a vigilant growl from its throat, as if it encountered a mortal enemy. Liu noticed this change in the white cat and hastily looked ahead as well. In his view, a tall, upright young man wearing well-embroidered clothes appeared. He looked like a god who had descended from the heavens and blocked the path of the big white cat. End chapter. The disabled tyrant's beloved pet fish. Transmigration. Chapter 2, Cat's Mouth Fish. Liu was overjoyed. It turned out that there was actually someone here who didn't fawn over the master cat. If a cat's intelligence was that of a 2-year-old child, then this big white cat was a very coddled and spoiled child. Ever since it was born, it always got what it wanted. No one dared to stop it. Now that it had a fish in its mouth, someone actually dared to block its way. The white cat was so indignant that it spun around twice on the spot before deciding to teach this person a lesson. With the fist still between its teeth, it violently tackled into the young man's leg. Bang! The white cat slammed into the young man's leg with all its might. Even Liu, who was being held in the cat's mouth, could feel how it abruptly braced and then surged forward with full strength. However, the young man didn't move even the slightest. The white cat let out an anguished cry and ended up bouncing off from the other's hard solid legs. The cat loosened its mouth. Liu was elated and took the chance to roll out, hitting the ground immediately. Because the master cat's body structure wasn't tall, when he fell to the floor, he didn't get too much damaged. The white cat froze, then started meowing as it went to seize the fish again. Liu finally escaped the cat's mouth after great difficulty. How could he allow himself to be captured again? In a moment of desperation, he waved his tail wildly, bouncing high off the ground, and with a paw, his tail slapped the cat forcefully in the mouth. The white cat. Liu. No way. He only wanted to escape but accidentally hit the cat's face because of a lack of coordination? Liu felt quite precarious. As a fish that actually dared to hit a cat's face, wasn't he very likely to get eaten soon? Being hit suddenly out of nowhere, the white cat completely fluffed up its fur. It raised its paw and started pressing down. The cat's sharp claws were like steel nails to Liu. Liu continued to flail. Ouch, don't press down on the head, it hurts. For a fish to make such an outrageous scene in front of a cat, it's a miracle he wasn't swallowed whole yet. Could it be that his illustrious life was about to fall to the mouth of a cat? Under the cat's claws, Liu hurt all over, wilting in pain while the tip of his tail trembled unwillingly. Then he saw a pair of black shoes with cloud design slowly approaching and stopped before his eyes. Apparently when the white cat caught him again, the young man in luxurious clothes also noticed the commotion. Not knowing if it was just his imagination, Liu felt that this young man gave a cool glance in his direction, intentional or otherwise. But how could that be? Even Gao Gonggong and Xiao Linzi didn't spare him any extra attention. Just based on the luxurious clothes this young man was wearing, his status definitely wasn't low. How could this kind of person notice a tiny little fish? A fish's strength was finite. Liu was almost no longer able to raise his tail. He quietly laid unmoving, gathering the last of his strength. Even breathing was difficult. A fish was not supposed to leave the water for too long. It also can't stand being bitten and grabbed by a cat. He was too pitiful having experienced all of these. Right at this moment, the young man lifted up the hem of his robe and crouched down. Liu saw a handsome face getting closer and closer. This was an extremely handsome face, yet his expression was stone cold. The hair on his temples were sharp like a knife, eyes like cold stars, red lips, white teeth, skin pale as jade. Even if Song Yu and Penin were present, they would be nothing in comparison. Liu's words of praise were limited. Very quickly, they ceased in his fish's head. When he was still a person, he was very confident in his own looks and felt himself to be very good looking. Did the heavens know he was about to die and purposely arranged for him to encounter an immortal-like beauty that was even more handsome than he was, just so he could die harboring envy? When a fish was about to die, it speaks from his heart. All right, to be honest, he was a bit jealous, only a tiny little bit. Liu's thoughts began to uncontrollably run wild. It was probably the so-called last flash of lucidity before death. Suddenly, he felt his body became lighter. Besides him, the white cat began to cry out of protest, however the sharp claws that was suppressing him had already left his body. Liu practically couldn't believe his luck. He attempted to move his fish body. Although it still hurts very much, he was able to move. What's going on? How could the white cat let him go without rhyme or reason? Liu slightly lifted his eyes. The big white cat. It was meowing in the air. The young man in luxurious clothes grabbed the cat by the fur on its back and unceremoniously hauled it up. Although this cat was robust, its whole body was snow white and its sapphire-like eyes was now glistening. At a glance, it was easy to tell that it was of rare breed. Ordinary people, even if they did not want to give face to the imperial consort, would usually treat this white ball of fluff with tenderness. However, this young man's expression was indifferent, as if he didn't care about this white cat at all. Although Liu felt it was odd, he felt even more so that his fish life finally had a hint of hope. Thank the heavens! And thanks to this beautiful man. Being forced to abandon the fish, the white cat let out a mournful scream. Its four claws swung all over in anger. If it were anyone else, they might have been scared. But to this tall, long-armed young man, it didn't count as a threat at all. Xiao Linzi, who rushed over, saw this situation and immediately felt his legs give out and ended up kneeling. In the midst of Liu's pain, he was somewhat surprised. What was Xiao Linzi doing? Don't tell him the guy was kneeling in order to save this food ingredient? Reality told him that he was overthinking. Xiao Linzi knelt before the young man, gave him several kowtows and stuttered, "Your Highness, Jingwang. This is the imperial consort's cat. Please have mercy." Liu. So, this young man was actually a king called Jingwang? Liu did not have any special reaction upon hearing about the imperial concubine or the eunuchs, but for some reason the name Jingwang sounded somewhat familiar to him. However, this thought only flashed across his head. With his fish life in imminent peril, Liu didn't have time to think about other things. The young man Jingwang scoffed coldly, his deep dark eyes swept across Xiao Linzi. However, the hand he used to hold up the big white cat remained unmoving, with no hint of letting it go. At the beginning, the big white cat screamed and meowed vigorously until it seemed to have shouted itself hoarse, as its voice grew softer and softer. Jingwang was exuding an oppressive aura and seemed to be deaf to the cat's protests. Xiao Linzi continued to kneel below, the sweat gathering on his forehead. Liu laid limp on the floor. This Jingwang grabbed the big white cat who was bullying him. That pretty much counted as saving him. Liu was extremely thankful in his heart, but if everyone continued to ignore him and if no one placed him back into the water, he'd become a dead fish soon. What should he do? Liu helplessly curled the tip of his tail, but no one could hear the words in his heart. "Your Highness, Your Highness. Wait for this old servant. This old servant is coming." Another unknown figure rushed over from afar, shouting and scrambling. This was an elderly eunuch. After stopping between Jingwang and Xiao Linzi, he first panted loudly for breath. "Wang Shigong, you're here." Xiao Linzi looked like he saw a savior. Eyes lighting up, he quickly bowed, "Begging you to help me plead mercy from His Highness Jingwang." The person who came was Jingwang's personal servant, Wang Shi. What mercy? After catching his breath, Wang Shi first carefully examined Jingwang's expression briefly, then gave Xiao Linzi a ferocious glare. This cat ran up itself and bumped into His Highness. What? Is His Highness not allowed to punish it? Xiao Linzi felt faint and said timidly, but this master cat is owned by the imperial consort. Wang Shi already recognized the white cat. There was no need to mention it, but since he did, his anger instantly shot up. It's only a cat, yet you dare to call it a master in front of His Highness, how outrageous. Wang gong gong. Xiao Linzi realized that he misspoke and instantly covered his own mouth. In the eyes of servants like him, the imperial consort's cat was like half a master, but in front of the real son of the emperor, what was its worth? Wang Shi spat on Xiao Linzi and then berated him severely. Xiao Linzi trembled all over with a lowered head, not daring to speak. After Wang Shi finished scolding, he turned back and looked at Jing Wang with an inquiring look. Jing Wang's ice-cold eyes moved slightly. Wang Shi understood and instantly turned around and reprimanded loudly, "This cat bumped into His Highness. His Highness is only punishing it a little, what's all this worrying about?" The cat in Jing Wang's hand failed to impress with its awe-inspiring presence, its temper worn down to nothing. By this time, it seemed to realize it scratched a metal plate and finally curbed its temperament. Spitting its pink tongue, it started meowing pitifully. An average person would feel their heart soften at this point. However, Jing Wang wasn't an average person. Jing Wang waited until the cat stopped meowing completely and tactfully lowered its head, then finally carelessly threw it in Xiao Linzi's direction. The cat was unafraid of heights. As soon as it left Jing Wang's hand, it quickly jumped into Xiao Linzi's arms. Xiao Linzi didn't have much meat on his body. Having his chest pounced on, he almost spat out blood. Wang Shi coughed softly. His Highness is in a good mood today, so he only bestowed a light punishment. You better watch it closely. If there's next time. Ha ha. I've lived this long and I've never seen anyone who dares to anger His Highness twice. This servant understands. Xiao Linzi kowtowed again and again. Jing Wang waved his hand indifferently. Wang Shi spat at Xiao Linzi again and followed Jing Wang to leave. That's it? Are they leaving just like this? Li Yu anxiously endured this long, but that Jing Wang, who saved him and even gave him an extra glance, didn't have any plans to continue saving him. It was already hard enough for Li Yu to survive the cat's mouth. Considering no one could hear or understand his words, he can only gather the last of his strength and curl his tail. The tail chaotically beat on the floor, once, twice. This almost inaudible cry for help was so pitiful it made him despair. Again and again, Li Yu almost gave up, but again and again, he forced himself to endure, telling himself that if he endured maybe a miracle would occur. Until, he could no longer move his tail. No miracles occurred. The cloud-decorated shoes that once saved him didn't stop for him again. Li Yu gradually lost consciousness, his fish tail stopped moving. The air in the surrounding area slowly turned cold. Jing Wang originally already walked a distance away. Suddenly, he stopped his footsteps and turned around. A sense of surprise flashed across his icy eyes. Your Highness, what is it? What's wrong? Wang Shi returned as well in puzzlement. Xiao Linzi already ran off with the white cat in his arms, there should be no one left here. Brows furrowed, Jing Wang made a shushing hand gesture as he continued to walk back. Focused on the ground below, not long after, he returned to the original position where he stopped. Wang Shi followed blindly behind him, watching Jing Wang looking like he was searching for something. Suddenly, Jing Wang stopped moving and bent down. Your Highness, hold on. What do you need? Let this old servant do it. Wang Shi noisily wanted to stop Jing Wang, but Jing Wang was obstinate, waving Wang Shi away unyieldingly. He personally went to pick up something from the ground. To be precise, it was a palm-sized fish. This was a battered and bruised fish that was once carried in the cat's mouth. Your Highness, wasn't this a very common carp? Why would His Highness persist on coming back to look for this fish? Wang Shi was confused. For the first time, he felt like he also had moments where he didn't understand His Highness. Jing Wang hesitated for a second, then reached out a finger, touching the limp fish tail with his fingertip. That tail, lightly and listlessly, patted the ground. Jingwang. Jingwang's expression turned heavy, yet his hands were exceptionally gentle as he picked up the fish and held it in his hand. Your Highness, let this old servant do it. Wang Shi hastily held his sleeve out to accept. Jingwang shook his head. Carrying the fish himself, he directly walked over to the nearest palace courtyard. Liu, who was befuddled and in discomfort, felt a warmth he hadn't felt in quite a while, like he was stuffed into a nest of blankets and pillows. Sob, sob, sob. Life as a fish was too hard. Was he about to die? Was he about to turn back into a human again? If he could become human again, then the suffering was worth it? As Liu thought happily to himself, he suddenly heard a ding. Then a system voice sounded, "Congratulations, host. The cute pet system, the Tyrant's guppy pet fish, main mission first step encountering the Tyrant, has been completed." End chapter. The disabled Tyrant's beloved pet fish. Transmigration. Chapter 3, Precious Fish Pet. For a moment, Liu thought he was hallucinating. After waiting and waiting, it became obvious that he won't be turning back into a human. Not only did he not change, some random system appeared as well. It seemed to be called the Cute Pet System. When Liu thought about this name, a bright light suddenly appeared in front of his eyes. 2 rows of huge, shiny gold words appeared out of nowhere. The system voice that gave him the notification just now prompted him, "Host, please select either the main mission or the side mission." Liu blinked. He somehow unintentionally entered a system. This system called him host. It must be his gold finger. So, changing into a fish wasn't completely in vain. Although he was still a fish and didn't manage to change back into a human, he had a gold finger. Perhaps if he followed the system's suggestions, he could find a way to change back into human again. He recalled the notification that was announced after he completed the first step of a certain main mission. Liu reflexively tried to touch the row of words saying main mission like tapping a touch screen. However, this extremely normal action to human wasn't exactly easy for a fish because fish fins were too short and couldn't reach. Liu waved his fish fins rather frantically, thinking it would be great if he could reach. Suddenly, the main mission option flashed twice by itself and unfolded to reveal more words. Liu, got it? This system didn't require physical touches at all. It can be operated with thoughts. Of the several rows of words under the main mission bar, other than the topmost row being lit up, the rest were all dimmed. They should be corresponding to each of the main mission tasks. Liu was in a rush to change back to a human, so he roughly schemed through all of the headings of each task. It was all fish related, not human related. Other than the Tyrant's guppy pet fish that he had heard before, there were also the Tyrant raises fish to rejuvenate bloodlines, a fish's postnatal care, and other such missions, each looking more incomprehensible than the last. Only the Tyrant's guppy pet fish mission was lit up and could be clicked on to read more details. The other missions were all temporarily unavailable. Liu had no choice but to click it listlessly. The Tyrant's guppy pet fish mission immediately displayed a description as well as a progression bar. He first read the description. This description was extremely simple, saying something about becoming the Tyrant's favored pet fish. Although this description was rather broad, it was pretty fitting of the system named Cute Pet System. Wait, he seemed to have forgotten something? Tyrant, this address seemed to have appeared in many places. But he still didn't know who this Tyrant was. The system seemed to have felt his bewilderment as a 3D frame that was adorned with rose petals popped up. Inside this frame was Jingwang's extraordinarily handsome face that infuriated both gods and men. So, Jingwang was the Tyrant. Liu's mouth split in elation. So, because he had met Jingwang, the first step encountering the Tyrant was considered completed? In any case, This Jingwang only appeared rather cold and didn't seem to like speaking. Why would he be called Tyrant by the system? This time the system didn't react. The frame still held Jingwang's handsome face without any change. Was he supposed to click it to move it along? Liu thought for a moment and used the top of his tail to poke at Jingwang's cheek from afar. This time, the system brought up some more descriptions. The rose petals danced and automatically formed into information about Jingwang. Jingwang's name was Mu Tianqi. He was the fifth prince of the Chu dynasty. He was born mute and thus, he can't speak. Liu. So, Jingwang's name was Mu Tian Qi. Liu felt as if he had been struck by lightning. No wonder he found the title Jingwang familiar from the first moment he had heard it. It was also no wonder that Jingwang was much quieter than Wang Shi and Xiaolin. Back then, he had only been thinking of saving his fish life and didn't realize things. Now, he finally knew where he had fallen into. Mu Tianqi was a name he couldn't be any more familiar with. Wasn't this the male protagonist from the web novel The Tyrant and his pampered concubine that he stayed up reading all night out of boredom? Mu Tianqi was a cold and ruthless tyrant who would randomly exterminate whole families just because he was in a bad mood. Yet because he was a naturally born mute, he was also a somewhat pitiful tyrant. Liu had transmigrated into a novel with a system. Don't ask why he had transmigrated into a book about a tyrant or why he transmigrated into a fish. Don't bother asking why he was assigned a cute pet system in a novel about tyrants and why all of his missions must be completed as a fish. The only answer he received was, "Since you've already transmigrated, you should just accept your fate." It was said that raising a pet makes people more compassionate. The purpose of your existence is to change the tyrannic nature of the male protagonist. The system slowly stated in a mechanical voice. Liu. He just knew the system was up to no good. He didn't want to do these strange missions at all. What? If he didn't do them, was the system going to coerce him? The system immediately stated, the cute pet system can't force the host, but if the host doesn't complete the missions, then you'll never be able to transform back into a human for the rest of your life. Liu, what? I won't transmigrate back even if I die. No, the system was very resolute. If you're unable to change into a human, then you will only have the life expectancy of a fish. In the end, you'll turn into fish bones and fish dust. Liu, what if I abandon the tasks? System, you'll immediately turn into fish bones and fish dust. Liu wanted to curse madly. Wasn't this an ill-disguised coercion? The system emphasized again, the cute pet system will not force the host. Liu, can you not repeat these empty words again? Liu didn't want to turn into fish bones and fish dust, but at the same time, he didn't have any interest in changing a tyrant's nature or whatever. He only wanted to know what exactly he needed to do to turn back into a human. System, when the main mission reaches a certain point, there will be a step to turn back into a human. Liu, that sounded much better. Alright, if it's just the main missions, I'll do them if I have to. Although pretending to be unconcerned, Liu actually understood very well that he can't take risks with his life. The cute pet system said one thing right. He had already transmigrated and gained this gold finger system. Based on the fact that it could appear inside his head, he should believe it. After he decided to do the missions, Liu started to calm down and study his current mission of the Tyrant's guppy pet fish seriously. This mission was split into several steps. The first step, encountering the Tyrant, was already completed. The second step, interacting with the Tyrant, was currently highlighted. Then, there's nothing after that. Looks like the second step needed to be completed first before the next instructions would appear. This stingy system. It didn't even want to give him any details or hint. Interact with the Tyrant. How exactly should he interact with the Tyrant? Jingwang was royalty while he was only a fish ingredient from the kitchen. What did the two of them have to do with each other? Liu was somewhat frustrated. Would he have to be turned into fish soup or braised fish to be served to Jingwang? System, use your head, think more carefully. Liu. This bastard system. Why did he feel like it was making fun of him? Liu couldn't figure anything out from that weird main mission title. Eyes turning as he recalled the side mission option, he went to take a look. The so-called side mission was something that he could do or ignore. Anyone who had played online games all knew that the side mission normally wasn't too difficult. Yet it can also provide generous rewards. With such a strange main mission, perhaps he can find some clues in the side mission. Liu selected the side mission option to take a look and discovered that the task titles below the side mission bar were all dimmed, indicating that this wasn't the time to do those yet. For example, one of the side missions was become a koi fish. This task didn't look too bad. Since he was temporarily a fish right now, being a koi fish had to be better than being a normal fish ingredient, right? Even idiots know that koi fish has extremely good fortune. How come he can't do this kind of task right now? System, side missions all have prerequisites. They would only activate once the prerequisites are met. Liu, what kind of prerequisites does the koi fish mission require? System, completing the main mission, the Tyrant's guppy pet fish. Liu. Fuck. So, I can't avoid the mission of being a pet fish. System, that's right. Liu thought to himself, clearly he was a man yet he had to become another man's pet fish. Moreover, this man had a bad temper and couldn't even speak. Wasn't this task too hard? Who knows what kind of reward he'd get once he completed this mission. If the reward wasn't that impressive, then wouldn't he have gotten the short end of the stick? Liu, after completing the Tyrant's guppy pet fish mission, what kind of rewards do I get? There should be rewards, right? System, yes. You completed the first step. The strength of your tail has already been increased. Please use it cautiously. The reward for completing the second step is a portable storage space you can carry anywhere, anytime. Other rewards will continue to be updated with the advancement of the mission. Liu's eyes lit up. He didn't really understand what's the use of increasing the strength of his fish's tail, but a portable storage space, this was a good thing. He can put stuff in it. It was pretty inconvenient to be a fish, so it's best for him to suppress his shame and hurry up with the completion of the tasks. While he thought about this, the system reminded him to exit. Liu regained consciousness. He opened his fish eyes and discovered he was lying inside a blue and white porcelain jar that was filled with water. Apparently, when he was conversing with the system, it was all in a space inside his head and can't be viewed from the outside. In actuality, 2 hours have passed since he was bitten by the big white cat and then fainted from leaving the water for too long. Feeling waves of pain from his still recovering injury, Liu stared at his surroundings in a slight daze. He remembered that before he lost consciousness, he almost broke his tail by hitting it repeatedly on the ground. Yet no one took notice of his cry for help. Right now, he should be still laying on the floor. So, how did he move to a different location? Nevertheless, since he was injured, he should focus on recuperating first. Also, he needed to figure out where he was and find Jingwang as quickly as possible to finish the interaction step. After Liu thought everything through clearly, he carefully examined the world inside the jar. This white and blue porcelain jar was much better than that pitch-black fish basket he transmigrated into. It didn't have the oil and smoky smell from the kitchen. There was ample light and space. However, the opening of the jar was a bit high for him. When he lifted his head, he could only see an area of the ceiling above him. Although the area was small, he can see that this was a richly decorated room. It was clear that he was in a place of someone very wealthy at the moment. The water in the jar was very clean. At the moment, he was the only fish in it. Next to his side, there were a few green water plants that swayed gently to the ripple of the water. Below him was covered by snow-white pebbles. Liu studied these pebbles. Every grain was round and smooth, the corners were rubbed away. When this fish body laid on it, he didn't feel any discomfort. It was a good place to recuperate. Liu planned to rip off a leaf from the water plant. But after waving for a while, he discovered it wasn't easy to grab the water plant with only his 2 fins. So don't even talk about using the fins to rip off any leaves. He couldn't move it no matter what. Suddenly, he recalled what the system said, that his tail's strength had increased. Perhaps, he can try using his tail? Liu swung his tail towards the water plant without much expectations. Hiss. It hurts. It's so painful. Pulling on his injury, Liu grimaced in pain and slightly regretted his impulsive behavior. After swinging his fish tail, there wasn't much change. Liu thought the system was lying to this fish. Just at this time, a fresh green leaf slowly fell down and landed on top of his head. Liu excitedly gave his tail a glance. Then he used his mouth to grab the broken leaf and pull it down, covering a large portion of his body as he laid on the white pebbled bed. Recovering from an injury naturally required being covered up by a blanket. Let him rest for a little while and regain his composure. When his body was better, he would go find Jingwang. After sleeping for some unknown length time, Liu heard a soft creaking sound. Liu knew this was the sound of a door opening and that someone entered this room that he was staying in. The person who entered, was it the person who saved him and placed him inside this porcelain jar? The white and blue porcelain jar had water and water plants. It even had round smooth stones. It was a fish bowl no matter how you looked at it. To be able to make such arrangements, that person most likely didn't plan to eat him. Rather, they planned to raise him. This person. Who could it be? The sound of calm and unhurried footsteps came closer and closer. Liu had a strange sense of anticipation. He slightly raised his head and waited a little. Not long after, a handsome face appeared above the fish bowl. Liu. Heavens, this person, wasn't this the target of his mission, Jingwang, Mu Tianqi? So, it was Jingwang who saved him? Liu was surprised and delighted. This was really something that came without any effort on his part at all. At first, he felt somewhat reluctant to become a pet fish. But facing a mission target who had saved his life, he can tolerate it. So, what should a proper pet fish do? Win favor from his owner, make his owner happy. Covered by the water plant blanket, Liu waved his tail and flatteringly blew a small transparent bubble at Jingwang. I'm such a cute fish, please don't chop off my head, okay? End chapter.